Good evening. We do begin tonight with the breaking news. President Trump revealing just a short time ago that he has now agreed to a 2-week ceasefire in the war in Iran. The president now says it all depends on Iran now agreeing to the complete and immediate opening of the Strait of Hormuz. President Trump had threatened Iran that a, quote, whole civilization will die tonight if they did not agree to opening the strait. So tonight here, Iran's response, but we begin with Mary Bruce and the breaking news from the White House.
Tonight, 90 minutes before his deadline, President Trump announcing he has agreed to suspend the bombing and attack of Iran for a period of 2 weeks. He says his decision would depend on Iran agreeing to the complete, immediate, and safe opening of the Strait of Hormuz. About an hour later, Iran announcing it had agreed. The president calling the ceasefire double-sided. It comes at the end of a day that began with Trump's dire threat. A whole civilization will die tonight, never to be brought back again. I don't want that to happen, but it probably...
In Iran, the celebration started immediately. Regime supporters gloating over what they see as a clear victory. State television put it this way. The enemy, that is the U.S. and Israel, has suffered an undeniable, historic, and crushing defeat. But along with the triumphalism, there's skepticism. Everyone is grateful for calm, said this man, but the party we're talking to is not trustworthy at all. In other words, there's widespread fear that the U.S. will just use the ceasefire to regroup and attack again. Even after the announcement, Israel's defense system intercepted at least 2 inbound Iranian missiles, Iran's parting shot after more than 5 weeks of war. A war that Israel's still fighting in Lebanon against the Iranian proxy militia.
President Trump had the power to cripple Iran's entire economy in minutes. But he chose mercy. He spared those targets because Iran accepted the ceasefire under overwhelming pressure. The new Iranian regime understood that a deal was far better than the fate that awaited them.
NASA just released images of something few humans have seen with the naked eye: the far side of the moon and lunar South Pole. NASA's Artemis II crew snapped these images during the mission's lunar flyby late on Monday.
It is blowing my mind what you can see with the naked eye on the moon right now. It's just unbelievable.
Unlike the near side of the moon, where all of the Apollo missions landed, the far side and its south pole remain largely unexplored. Scientists believe the lunar poles could hold key resources for future space exploration, like craters laced with ice that could be separated into oxygen for breathing and hydrogen for rocket fuel. The 4-person crew have now traveled further from Earth than any human in history, breaking the previous distance record set by Apollo 13 in 1970. Artemis II astronaut Jeremy Hansen, who became the first Canadian to fly by the moon, celebrated this historical moment, saying,
"But we most importantly choose this moment to challenge."
Why should we cease fire? Obviously, here it is written, Strait of Hormuz will remain closed. Now it has opened again.
Whatever our leader says goes. We are obedient to him. Whatever His Excellency says, we obey the leader's command, not a step ahead nor a step behind. If he deems it appropriate, we will have a ceasefire. If not, we are ready to stay in the streets and fight forever.
People on the ground in Iran responded directly to the president's address this afternoon when he said a whole civilization will die tonight. In voice messages sent exclusively to ABC News, they revealed their fears following his words, and all of the voices have been altered due to fear of retaliation by the Iranian regime.
While I may feel a sense of relief or even happiness about the death of Ali Khamenei, I don't believe anyone can really be happy about innocent people being killed. Children losing their lives or young soldiers who are forced into mandatory service with no real choice is not something that anyone can celebrate.
We ask ourselves, what if the war continues? When they hit Asaluye, everyone was feeling terrible. We wonder what to do if they hit the infrastructure. They don't belong to the Islamic Republic. They are built by our own children. They belong to Iran and the future of Iran.
Donald Trump suggested in a conversation with the AFP news agency that he believes it was China that pushed Iran to negotiate the ceasefire deal that we now have. Are you able to confirm if this is true, if China was involved with bringing those parties to the table? And secondly, if China was involved, there already seems to be quite significant discrepancies and confusion about some of the terms, particularly whether Lebanon's included in the ceasefire and whether the enrichment of uranium is part of the 10-point plan presented to the Americans. Are you able to shed any light on any of those specifics? And crucially, is the deal falling apart before it's even really begun? Thank you.
Since the eruption of the conflict, China have always been advocating for a ceasefire and peace. Foreign Minister Wang Yi had 26 phone calls with foreign ministers of the relevant countries, and our special envoy is conducting shuttle diplomacy there in the Gulf region.